Alright, today we're covering lesson 3-5 and we're asking ourselves, how do equations, tables, and graphs represent the same data? Now we should be ready for this lesson. It's very similar to sequencing. In sequencing, we came up with equations and we used tables to organize our data. The only thing we're throwing in here is the graphs, and we've covered coordinate planes, so you should feel very comfortable with that. So, we're ready to go. Let's start with an example. Suppose you save $3 every week. Make a table and write an equation to represent your total savings after a given number of weeks. I would set up my table like this, organizing my information by number of weeks, and then my total savings, and the expression that gets me from one to the other. So let's just start with our weeks. I would do my savings for 1 week, 2 weeks, and 3 weeks. And then at the end of our table, we want to come up with, start working on our equation. So I'm going to put in a variable for number of weeks. I'm going to use W. Alright, and for total savings, I'm going to use the variable T. So looking back at our story, we're saving $3 every week. That every is my clue that I'm going to be multiplying. And I'm going to take my number of weeks and multiply it times how much I'm saving each week, which is 3. So my expression would be 3 times 1. So my total savings for 1 week would be $3. My next row for 2 weeks, I would have $3 times 2. $3 for each week, and 3 times 2 is 6. And my pattern continues. 3 times 3 is 9. So my expression down here at the bottom, using my variables, I have 3, that's not changing. I have my weeks, that's what's changing, and that gets me to my total. So, writing this as an equation, I have 3W equals T. So, just another way to write the exact same information. I organize my information on a table, and I've condensed it down to an equation. So looking back at our title, we're going over equations, tables, and graphs. We've already gone over tables. We've already gone over equations. Now let's move on to graphs. Okay, getting into graphing, we've already talked about our coordinate planes. We went over ordered pair in that lesson. Any ordered pair that makes an equation true is a solution to that equation. Alright, let's look at an example. My ordered pair 2, 6. Now, 2 is the variable that would represent x, and 6 would represent the variable y. Alright, 2, 6 is a solution of y equals 3x. And why that is true is because when I plug in these numbers for those variables, I get a true equation. So, y was 6, so I have 6 equals 3 times x, and x is 2. And 6 is equal to 3 times 2, so check. That is a solution for that equation. Something you need to take note of is an equation with 2 variables can have many solutions. You can show these solutions on a graph, and an equation is linear if all the solutions lie on a line. So just a review of some things we've already discussed this year. A variable are these symbols, X, Y, Z. Any letter in a problem is a variable. Also, if you'll notice the word linear, it has right here the word line. Alright, so that's one way you can remember that vocab word, is in a linear equation, when you graph it, you'll get a straight line. Go ahead and take a minute, make sure you have all that down, and then we'll move on to an example with graphing. Okay, we're asked to graph the linear equation y equals negative 1/2 x plus 12. First, I'm going to use my equation, organize it into a table, and then I'll graph it. Okay, coming up with possible solutions for this equation, I'm going to start with x since it's inside my equation more, and then I'll solve for y. So picking a number to substitute in for x, I want to pick a number that when I plug it in, it's going to have to be multiplied times negative 1/2. So I want something that's going to be easy to solve. I don't want to make this hard on myself. I want to pick a number that's going to be easily divided in half. First number I would always recommend that you plug in is 0. If you're going to multiply anything times 0, that's going to make your problem a lot simpler. So let's go ahead and write down 0 for x. Plugging it in, I would have negative 1/2 times 0 plus 12. This process should seem very similar to you. It's a lot like what we were doing with sequencing, just plugging in for n. But instead of solving for the term, now we're solving for y. So now I have negative 1/2 times 0 is going to be 0. So I have 0 plus 12. So I have 12. So my first ordered pair is going to be, remember I always write my ordered pair xy. My first ordered pair would be 0, 12. Alright, I'm going to pick some other numbers that are going to be easily divided by 2. Let's do 4, 8, and 12. I know those numbers can be divided by 2. Go ahead, I want you to pause the video now, work out these problems, and we'll check your ordered pairs in just a moment. So pause the video now. Okay, now we're going to check our answers. Alright, plugging in my x values, I have negative 1/2 times 4 is 2, is negative 2, plus 12 is 10, negative 1/2 times 8 is negative 4, plus 12 is 8, and negative 1/2 times 12 is negative 6, plus 12 is 6. So my ordered pairs, I already have 0, 12. Now I have 4, 10, 8, 8, and 12, 6. Now we're going to transfer our ordered pairs onto a graph. Okay, I'm going to kind of adjust my graph here. I'm going to move my axis over a little bit. Give myself a little more room because this was a 10 by 10 graph. And we have a spot that's 12, so I'm going to move it over. So now this is my y-axis, this is my new x-axis. Now, all my points are positive, positive. So I'm only going to be using this quadrant 1 here. My first point is 0, 12, so I'm going to stay along the y-axis, and I'm going to go up to 12. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right here is my first point. My next point is 4, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 10. Eight, 8. And 12, 6. Now that I've plotted my points, I can connect the dots, and I have made a linear graph. So I hope this answers our question how tables, graphs, and equations are all related. They are all used to represent the same data, and I'll see you soon. Have a great day. Bye.